What's going on, everybody? It's MLO5. Welcome back to another video. Now today we have some good news to go over. So without any further ado, let's get right into it. To start off, we've been getting some reports that the Nintendo Switch Pro is actually going to be happening. We talked about it here and there throughout the channel. I think I made one video last year and then another video just on New Year's Eve. So actually one video in 2019 and then one in 2020. So, you know, there's been some leaks here and there, pretty spaced out, but right now we actually have solid concrete evidence that the Nintendo Switch Pro is going to be a thing, for one, and two, that it might come out this year. So I mind you that this is a Bloomberg post, okay? This is a Bloomberg post, a credible source, and our last source that we got the Nintendo Switch leak from just recently was from Business Insider. So of course these aren't like Redditors, these aren't like Twitter accounts that claim to have an inside, like this is actual, like these are companies. Nintendo plans to unveil a model of its Switch gaming console equipped with a bigger Samsung OLED display this year, hoping the larger touchscreen could pop up demands in time for the holidays. People familiar with the plan said. Samsung Display Company will start mass production of 7-inch 720p resolution OLED panels as early as June, with an initial monthly target of just under 1 million units, said the people, who asked not to be identified, discussing internal matters. The displays are slated for shipment to assemblers around July, the people said. Representatives from Nintendo and Samsung Display declined to comment. Nintendo seeks to sustain a Switch lineup that continues to sell well against the Xbox and PlayStation, thanks to the pandemic-era breakout hits like Animal Crossing and a chip crunch that's plagued supply of rival devices. But the gadget is now into its fourth year actually, while Microsoft and Sony both have new and more powerful machines in the market. The gaming community has speculated online about the introduction of an OLED, or organic light emitting diode screen, but Nintendo has stayed quiet, and President Shuntaro Furukawa, I'm not trying to murder anybody's name, said in February his company has no plans to announce a new Switch anytime soon. Samsung's involvement is the strongest indication that Nintendo is serious about updating the console on a large scale. Bloomberg Intel says the release of a more premium version of Nintendo Switch's console with an OLED display and support for 4K graphics for the holiday of 2021 selling season could drive the company's sales above census for the fiscal year ending March 2022 and extend the life cycle of the Switch platform for many more years. First off, let's address one thing. A lot of people might get upset with the 720p screen that is not on the screen, but like actually undocked like this. So this, if you guys don't know, it's a little bit below 720p, and 720p isn't like all that, but there's nothing to worry about. First of all, the screen is OLED and it's 7 inches. So real quick before you get your ass back on there, what that means is that the 7-inch OLED, you see this little black outline over the edge? That's not gonna be there anymore, right? So it's gonna take up the entire screen. The OLED, what it does is it's going to get rid of all that like film grain that you see on games and stuff like Monster Hunter. Like it looks like a very high quality game as far as graphic goes, but there's like a lot of grainy film on it, like just a lot of film grain, you know? And then the same thing goes with like Little Nightmares 2 on the Nintendo Switch. Like it worked fine, you know, but like it was just grainy compared to like if you were to play it on the PS5, obviously. So that's number one. The OLED, it's gonna take care of that, right? So it's just, what it does is while it is undocked, it's gonna take care of the clarity of what you're seeing, all right? So that it's just like just a better experience. And then of course you're gonna see more of the screen, obviously. But that's not really my main concern. I don't really play the Switch like on the go like that. So I mean, I'm good. If you are like me and you mainly play docked, aka seriously, you'll be happy to know that we're supposed to be getting 4K on docked. Now, let me explain this, all right? This 4K resolution, it's going to be achieved through something called DLSS, which is data learning save sampling, if I'm not mistaken. It's an artificial intelligence that is inside the program of like a graphics card, and what it does is it replicates the images and the pixels of 4K. So it sort of upscales those 720p 1080p games, and it makes it sort of resemble a 4K game or a 4K screen, you know? So it's not 4K, like it's not native 4K, but at the same time it is 4K in the sense of what you're seeing, right? You're probably not going to tell the difference between like 4K DLSS and native 4K. That's huge because one, for Nintendo, that's a step in the right direction. You know, these run at like 30 frames per second and like barely hit 1080p, like if you're lucky. I think like recording this on my Elgato at 900p 60 frames per second looks better than what I'm looking at when I'm playing the actual game. That's everything that is confirmed for the Nintendo Switch Pro, if that is going to be a thing. It really has me thinking what Nintendo is going to be doing with this Nintendo Switch Pro. In a previous video, we stated that one, it's very important, like it's an important move that Nintendo makes something better than the Switch, because I'm saying the Switch was not going to last, given that it's in the middle of its life cycle. It's 4 years, right? That means we have another 4 years to go. And like the way that games are looking now, PS5, Xbox Series X, the Switch was not going to survive for another 4 years. Halfway through its life cycle. Yeah, Nintendo has the bangers, it has the best games, like I always say, but just the graphics, and not only the graphics, right? The graphics, it's just like a little curve, right? The graphics in like the bigger picture, it's not that big of a deal. But what we were mainly concerned with is what the Nintendo Switch could run, right? It could barely run these AAA titles like Mortal Kombat. Like if you were to look at Mortal Kombat on the Switch and then look at it on the PS4, you'd see a big difference. And then the PS5, now that this rumored Nintendo Switch Pro is going to have the upscaling effect, Mortal Kombat on the Switch might look damn near the same as Mortal Kombat on the PS5. You know, the next thing that I'm concerned with, or not really concerned with, the next thing I want to talk about is how the Switch Pro is going to handle these new games that are coming out, and how will it look for Nintendo. We know that Breath of the Wild 2 is set to release sometime next year, maybe 2023. You know, I don't really care as long as like the game is crisp. In my Splatoon 3 theory video, going back there, which I did get correct, by the way, because I'm just nice like that. You know, what can I say? I went over the fact that EGI and Numa said that in Breath of the Wild 2, they wanted to expand the world of Breath of the Wild. And I'm like, well, you can't really do that on the Switch. Maybe, I guess, but like Breath of the Wild already pushed the Switch damn near to its limits. So if you want to expand the world, how are you gonna do that? So now the Switch Pro, it sounds like, you know, especially the timing of these official reports. These aren't like leaks or rumors, right? Like these are like official company like reports. The timing of it is just great. You know, Splatoon 3 just got revealed 2 weeks ago, you know, and it's said to release 2022, you know? And I think that the Nintendo Switch Pro can really open up a lot of opportunities for these new games. And you know what? I honestly think that the reason why the president of Nintendo said that he didn't want to announce a Switch anytime soon, or a new Switch, is because they were working like these new games, especially Breath of the Wild 2, around this new Nintendo Switch Pro. Expect the Nintendo Switch Pro to greatly vamp up the potential of these new games. No more film grain, right? Hopefully there's no more like delay on the Pro controller, like input delay. You know, there's just, it's not that big of a difference, but there's a little bit more input delay on the Nintendo Switch than like on the PS4, for instance. Maybe we see more storage on this Nintendo Switch Pro, since now that the developers have DLSS to work with, and that can fix all of the cutbacks that were made for the graphics. Like, dude, all these Nintendo games revolved around cutbacks. But now this is really good news, because now that you don't have cutbacks, it just leads to more potential games that can come to the Nintendo Switch Pro. But let me know what you guys think. Make sure you check out my Twitch channel and check out the Wave Clan channel. Other than that, I love you all, and I'll catch you guys next time.